Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time. It's the moment you've all been waiting since Monday for. It is Thursday, so you know what that means? It's time for Hey Rockstar. And I am your host, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, Josafat Emiliano. Miguel's back there chilling on Gordy's today, the guitar, and we are just excited because today we have another interview, the Rockstar, episode 48. But before we get there, if this is your first time here checking us out, welcome, welcome, welcome. We know that you will enjoy today's show. Actually, you can go back and check out the other ones because here, this is a platform where, yes, I bring my stories, but my guests also bring their stories, their life values that you can take, apply to your discipline, to your life, so that then you can find the confidence and courage to detach your identity from failure. Take ownership of your life one more time because this is our life and it's an amazing life. Develop that right mindset that you can do it and develop the right plan so that you then can go and become the rock star of your industry, life, goals, whatever you have, Lord, whatever you have, folks. This is the show for you today. Whew, what an intro. And yes, we do have an outro. I was asked that question earlier, but it's not as charismatic as this one. Anyway, what can I say about my guest today? This gentleman, I first met him. I was privileged enough to meet him because we were both mutually invited. We were both mutually invited to a mastermind. It was actually one of my first ones here in Nashville to attend. Some great thinkers, some great influencers, some great people got together for this time to just collab, to get to know and to game plan and get to know where everyone is planted. As a matter of fact, he helped me out because this man, well, like I said earlier in the welcome or the sorry, vocabulary is just out of my mind right now. The thumbnail, the description for the show. There we go. Thank you, Miguel, for reminding me of that. He told me in my ear. The description for the show. He is. I mean, we got our first real estate agent. Now I know you're probably saying, what about Weaver? Weaver's a construction and he's a real estate investor. This is a real estate guru. He is actually, but we didn't just get any realtor here from Nashville. We got to you the one and only, the dancing realtor, but he is also one of the sweet tea sipping, storytelling, porch swing sitting. He is just an all-round show and just a great person who brings the great energy and I know he's going to bring so much value because this man has lived life to the full. He just lived life and he's got some stories to tell. So enough about me because I know you guys can see me all day. Help me, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once and hopefully more to this show, Daniel Sway. I think I said his name wrong.
Swaw, it's all
Swaw.
good. It's all good.
I messed that up. All right,
what
guys.
An intro, man. That was dope, dude. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Daniel, it's a pleasure to have you. We've had history. We've gone out for coffee, and we've talked whenever we could here and there. And one thing I forgot to mention, I remember when we were trying to shoot a music video for a client. They were asking for a specific location, and I'm like, I don't know if I can find something like that. And I reached out to you, and I said, hey, do you happen to know of anybody who might have this opportunity? And you're like, hey, there's this building at this location, and it's open to the public. If you go at this time, it might be empty. And sure enough, it was. We got some great footage. We shot some stuff, so it worked out. For the benefit of the client and for myself, and the fact that I had someone in my network who gave me worth or something to help me out. So I appreciate that. I don't know if I've told you that before, but I just remember, it came off the top of my head right now and I remembered. But Daniel,
love it.
Oh man, my brother, welcome to Hey Rockstar. It's this little
man.
passion
Super
project of
excited
mine.
to be here, brother.
And I've been wanting to have you here for a while because if there's anyone who who I think of as an entrepreneur, a self-made individual, a hard worker, or just someone who's really good at working with people, you come to mind. And
Well, thank you.
and well, you already know. I already told you what the show is, and it's not about me talking. So let's go to a little bit about your story. So Daniel, I know who you
Yeah,
are, but for my audience who doesn't, would you mind just sharing just a little bit about your story, your journey,
sure.
and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. So I've been in real estate for about 7 years. Prior to that, I worked for a ministry called Youth with a Mission for several years. And prior to that, and also during the time I was working with that ministry, I was also building homes and doing remodeling. Really, my love for real estate, I'm more than just love real estate. You know, some people sell real estate, they flip homes, whatever. I love every aspect of real estate because I am a true believer that real estate done right can actually change the trajectory of your life. And I just absolutely love that. So, yeah, when it was about 7 years ago, I was like, you know what? I want to change in my life. And I just buying and selling homes and helping people through that process just seemed like a natural thing to do because I was always really good at working with people. And I knew the industry sales was new to me at that point, but I mean, I can walk through a house and point out every nitpicky thing about the house. I also know how they're built from the ground up, from every aspect to the breaking the ground to the footers to then from the whole process. And so it just always seemed to be a really great fit. And the question is always like, oh, well, do you love what you do? Like, what are you passionate about? And I'm extremely passionate about real estate, and I just think it's one of those tools that really can change the direction of your life. So that's been true in my life for just me personally, as well as for the clients that I've been able to serve. And yeah. So I grew up in White Bluff, which is a little town just west of Nashville. Grew up there my whole life, so I'm a native. I've been called many times a unicorn, so I know this area like the back of my hand. And I absolutely love living in this area. And I live on the outskirts of Nashville right now. And I bought a little farm about a couple months ago. And I love living in Nashville.
Why
And
haven't I
I
gone to
love
visit
swing
yet?
dancing. Love swing dancing. That is like swing dancing and sweet tea. That's my thing.
I'm like, why haven't I gone out to this farm yet? That's
Hey,
my
man.
fault. I know well, I mean, and of course, everyone uses this excuse during the pandemic. Everyone was just like secluded from everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, we eventually found ways to hang out with people. but,
Definitely
but
secluded out here. They're going to soul around.
oh man, it looks beautiful. I mean, I love the scenery. Maybe we should go shoot like a movie there someday.
Dude,
But
oh, yeah. It's completely secluded. It'd be a great place for a horror movie is what I always thought. But
I mean, that is a genre, so
yes.
don't tempt me with a good time. But other than that, so you mentioned about your clients, and
Mhm.
one question does come to mind. I mean, I know your personality, and I know how just you are in general. But
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do to make sure your clients feel just loved and heard and cared for whenever you do have a chance to work with them?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking that because that is my goal is when I work with folks is that they do feel loved, heard, and cared for. And really, how I do that, there's that old saying is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And really, what I try to do
Yeah.
is throughout the process is a lot of times just in life in general, when we get nervous or anxious, it's because we don't understand something. So my goal throughout the entire process is to make sure that on the front end, I do a questionnaire before I even meet with the client. I can find out everything I can about their hopes, their dreams, what do they love, what's their dog's name, and just trying to figure out those things that really are meaningful to people. Because when I actually meet with them in person, now I have all this stuff that we can talk about, and I can really find out more about who they are. So that's one way to do it, and the one way that I do that, and also just to be present, like in a world where it's so fast paced and people are always on their phones. When I'm with a client or just my friends in general, people in general, my phone is on do not disturb, and I am fully present with who I'm with. And I do that with everybody because I think the biggest thing you can give someone is your full attention and your full presence. Because we've all been in the presence of people who are, yeah, they're physically there, but they're not there. They're like, oh yeah, I'm sitting next to you, but I'm not there.
Hmm.
I'm not present. And nobody likes that feeling. Nobody likes that feeling when someone's checking their phone and they just can't be present with you. So what I do, and this isn't just when I meet with people, it's when we're showing homes. It's when, when I'm with them at all, is to be fully present, because that's the only time that you will ever have that moment right there. Will never happen again. And what are we going to miss if we're checking a text message from someone who's not with us right now? So being present.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, also letting my clients know on the front end, hey, when you text me or call me, I don't respond right away. Know that me being present with you right now is exactly what I do with everyone, because all we can give people is our presence. Be present. So that's a huge way. That's one of the ways I make sure that people feel that loved, heard, and cared for, and getting the answers. And when they have questions, getting those answers, making sure that they're not being ignored.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be ignored. So to make sure that throughout the entire process, people are getting communication. And if I can't get to them right at that moment, they already know ahead of time, hey, Daniel's being present with them, so that when he calls me, he can be present with me.
That's
good. So that's the gist of it.
No, well, okay. Now I'm just picking at what I'm listening to you say. So when did this concept become important to you? The being present, or is it just something that you've always done, or is it just something you noticed, hey, this is what successful people do? Was it a learned thing, or was it just something that was birthed from your natural persona?
Okay, so it's something I've always wanted to be present, but I think where this really, really, really hit home for me was the beginning of my career. I was at this, I think it's called like Accelerant Breakfast. This is a bunch of business people from all around Tennessee, all around the area. And we got together early in the morning, like 6:30, and I'm not a morning person. So 6:30, like, oh, you're just stumbling into, so grab your coffee and you're good to go. But I met this guy, his name was Steve. And when I met him, I mean, he's like towers over me. He's like, I don't know, 6'4" or something like that. And when I met him, it was like zoned in. It was like no one else in the world mattered. Like, you were the only person that existed at that very moment. And I thought, what in the world is this? And I had just never experienced that, because it was. And so from then, I've tried to be very, very intentional when I'm meeting new people, like being fully present, being fully engaged, and even sometimes when I'm with people, in my head, I'm saying like, this person is incredible. I love this person. I'm speaking those things in my head to this person, because that helps me to be fully present. And yeah, that was, it's really interesting. Sometimes I'll do that and people are like, they're kind of like, what's this guy looking at? Because people aren't used to people just being you're fully engaged with them. And it makes people feel weird sometimes. But the purpose of it is that people, gosh, we all want people just to be present with us. And that's really what it comes down to, is just, yeah.
Oh, no,
maybe that answers your question a little bit.
No, that's totally no. It's something that's important. Yeah, and because I've experienced that too. I've experienced people who are looking at you, and although they're looking at you, they're like,
yeah, their eyes are glazed over. It's like
and then I've met people they're just like, and that seems to build something. I personally do struggle sometimes, especially if I'm in network mode. Like I am at a new place, meeting new people, and I just see all these, and I've had to make that sacrifice. Like,
yeah,
where was I at? I forgot what was that, where I was talking to someone who genuinely was new, and they had questions, and I was giving them my spiel, or just telling them what I offer and this and that. And at a distance, I saw a producer friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, and in my mind, I was like, I need to catch up with that person, because they're about to move to Atlanta, and I have a few questions for some film stuff before it's gone. But I didn't want to cut off, and I caught myself thinking, you know what, I'm looking too much. You know what, I have that producer's number. I can always send a message. And later on, and so I returned to the conversation to give this person my attention, because I'm like, they were brave enough to come ask me. They were vulnerable enough to come ask me for help. The least I can do is give them my attention and my time for this moment. Once they're satisfied, If my producer friends still there, cool. If not, they weren't. They were on the way out the door. But I sent them a message later on, and like we're supposed to meet up pretty soon for coffee or something. But it was just cool
Yeah.
because I hadn't thought about them. But yeah, it's that knowledge of like, you know what, this person, they might be no one right now, and I'm not saying they're no one. I'm just like, they're just someone new. But
Yeah.
it is a discipline, I guess, for especially for those of us who are just constantly on the, at least in this industry, and by
Yeah.
this industry I mean the people industry, where we're always meeting people, because
Yes.
you never know what's going to be the next sale, what's going to be the next potential
Yeah.
connection.
And you never know what, just randomly saying hi to someone or just being fully present with them, people just aren't used to that. And so when we can fully show up, even if it's just a random stranger, and we fully show up and are fully present with them, dang, dude, that can like that. I personally think that can change someone's life. And because we're just not used to getting people's full attention. And so it's something that's it's like at the core of who I am, is be present with who you're with. Because right now is all you get. That 20 minutes or that 5 minutes or that 1 minute, be present, engage, so people want.
I'm
People
curious,
crave that.
you being in this industry, or in the real estate industry for 7 years now, is there a story that you can share about just being open and just, yeah, being present, or just showing up to something, just being there,
Yeah.
opened up just unexpected opportunity for something bigger, like a big sale or just a good connection, and not necessarily that person, but maybe they
Man.
knew someone. Do you have a story that you can share?
Oh, dude, absolutely. One of my, which one do I pick? I'll do two.
Oh, perfect.
And I'll keep them short. So the first one
I can
was,
stream up to 4 hours.
okay, cool. Well, I won't do 4 hours. But the first one was, I sold this family. Well, I wouldn't say family. I sold a couple a home, and they've been trying to have children for a good while. And now I work with everybody, but so with that, they've been trying to have kids for several years. And I don't know if life was, who knows why things don't happen. But anyway, so they sold in this house, and they'd been in it for not very long. And a bunch of us, they're actually friends of mine, and we all went on a big trip together. And we went on like a big vacation together.
Yeah.
And so we're everybody's hanging out, having dinner, and they're like, okay, there's gonna be some announcements and stuff like that. So we're all getting excited about that. What's coming up this year? What's some cool stuff happening? And I think we were out in like Gulf Shores, Alabama, or somewhere on the beach. And so we're all gathered around. We're all in this room. We're all having dinner. And then once that's done, we're gonna talk about what those things are coming up are. So it's like, okay, cool. One pops up. Oh, we kind of knew one of people were pregnant, but we're all excited about that. And then the next one, so it's on the screen, it's playing, okay, this is happening this year. And then another one pops up, this is happening here. And then the last one pops up, and it's my friends who've been trying to have kids for years. And I'm telling you, the whole room was in an uproar. The whole room was in an uproar. And everybody was crying and hugging each other because we were just so excited for that family. And that was something that was really, really cool. And I'm not saying that me selling them that house, that's why it happened. But I think a lot of times in life sometimes we need somewhere to be stable. We need somewhere to be, present, to be stable. And so that was a really cool one. And another one was, I helped this client buy a home, and they bought it, her husband flew down, and they bought this home. And it wasn't really the home they wanted, but it was the home that they could afford at the moment. And so they bought it a year later, and they had 3 kids. So it was 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Wasn't really big enough for that, but they needed the home. They bought it. And a year and a half later, they just said, okay, Daniel, hey, we want to sell this house. We want to buy something different. So the cool thing was they're able to take the proceeds from selling the new house or the old house and buy the house they've always wanted. They've always wanted, out in the country, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just beautiful place on some land. And the cool thing was, when we're sitting at closing, so we're gonna backtrack a little bit. When we're sitting at closing before they bought, I think they did a double closing actually. Anyway, one of those. Anyways, we're sitting at closing, and they get the check for the property they had just sold. And she just starts weeping and says, Daniel, I've never seen this much money in my life. And I thought, this is why I do what I do, to change the lives, to change the trajectory of people's lives. And I'm so grateful I get to be a part of that. Ultimately, it's people's choice to do the things they want to do, but I love getting to be a part of that. So those are the two stories I got on regards to that. I could go all day, but those are the ones that just popped in my head. Right, I'll wait.
I love stories. This show is about storytelling, and yeah, you got to find those moments where you got to have that passion.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure I've shared this with you, but I definitely have shared it with my audience. I was at a moment where I'm really good at what I do. I mean, I don't want to say I'm good at what I do. I'm just saying I have a really good work ethic that whatever work I do, people are pleased with what I bring to the table. Even today, the project I was in today, they're like, "Hey, are you gonna be with us for the rest of the month?" And I'm like, "Well, I already committed to a few other things on this week and that week, but I mean, I'll try to come as much as I can, depending on my directors." But before then, I was at another job, and I'm a loyalist, Daniel.
I hear you.
I tell everyone, if you gave me a chance, I will try. I'll try my best to give back to you, or to stay with you, to stay faithful, help you out. If I'm giving you my word, then I will. My word is my bond. I'm one of those kind of people. But the job that offered me work during when there was no work, I started, and we got to a point where I needed something different.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can't just up and leave, because I felt a loyalty to them, and I didn't just up and leave, but I made a good plan and strategized the best way for me to move on while also leaving someone to take over for me. But there was a time where I just wanted to stay, and like, just, because I'm loyal. I can't just abandon now, even though it wasn't benefiting me anymore. It was benefiting everyone else except me. I was willing to suffer so the others could be. Anyway,
I hear you.
And so it was at that moment where, in my meditation time, in my relationship with God, and I was just like, God, what do I do? And in his loving way, I tell everyone, he said, you know what, Josafat, whatever you decide, I'm gonna give you two choices, and whichever one you decide, I'm okay with. I'll still love you. You're still my son, and you'll still be covered, and at the end of it all, you'll still make it up to heaven. But it's your choice. You can either A, continue to work on another man's dream, or B, finally work on the dream that I have for you. But the choice is yours. And once that came on, I'm like, you know what? I need to move forward. I need to try something different, and I need to first figure out what brought me a passion. And what brings me passion is when people tell me your story, your life, your talk. I heard this and I found hope, or I found this and this gave me, I related to that and I understand. So I know if you can move forward, I can too. And that sudden mental change where they're like, I can be a better version of myself. I don't have to be stuck anymore. Helping people become free and move forward had become just, and it's not just in the speaking industry, in any place I find myself and I share my story, people are like, hey, you just said something that resonated with me, and I needed to hear that. I don't know how many times I've heard people like, I needed to hear the words you brought, and that what turns me on. And I get it. I get it. The same way you see happiness in the people whose lives you impact, and the people whose lives you better just by being there. The same way with me and my words and my business, and that's when I realized this is my purpose. This is my plan. This is what I am meant to do until my very last breath. I know I can talk about myself, but let's go back to.
Man, I love it. That is who you are, and I love that. I love that about you.
What other thing was someone had mentioned, because dude, the guy had last week, he was an actor, and we went and talking about mind structure, mind strength. That became something important in my life.
Big time.
You have to have that mental strength. You have to learn, and maybe it's just me being the way I was, but what helped me get to a stronger mindset is studying the concept of stoicism, of what it's like to be an immovable object when you're facing an unstoppable force, and which is life. And so learning to just stand still, and it's biblical principles. Once it's all done, just stand. In the end of it all, just learn to stand, be still, and know that He is God. But just that that started myself through that journey of mental strength and learning how to develop a stronger version of this. That when the suck happens,
Cool,
I'm not
buddy, because it
emotionally
does.
driven. I'm not emotionally. I don't make decisions based on just irrational feelings at that moment, but rather
Yeah.
get it's not escape, but set myself aside just to see
Mm,
and to see what can be done. And then when I'm ready, then go in, and that's when the emotion comes in because that gives me the passion to drive me to do the right decision that I need to make for that moment. But that's a
yeah.
whole. I'm a whole different level today than I was before the tornadoes. Man, you remember those things?
Oh yeah.
The
It woke me
tornadoes
up. I
hit.
remember them.
Oh my gosh, that was a wake up call for a lot of people, but also a physical noise that could wake people up. But
For
anyway,
sure.
let's get back to your story. Again, I could
All
talk about
right.
myself all night. Um, so there is like I don't know, a billion or at least 9,000 other real estate agents in this small town alone, or in Middle Tennessee. I'm
Yes, there is.
curious, my friend, what sets you apart from the rest of them?
Man, I think for first and foremost, I'm a full time realtor, and work
Mm,
full time with people. A lot of people, a lot of real estate's a great industry. A lot of people get into it because there is a lot of wonderful things about it. But one of the biggest things is, you know, when you're working with someone, when they can be full time, that's going to be a huge difference in someone getting a house or not.
yeah.
Or like, so I also will pull in people like, a home should never, someone's getting a home or seeing a home should never be dependent upon my schedule. If someone needs to get in the home, they need to get in the home. So I rely on teammates sometimes to help a client get in that home.
Mm,
Because the goal is to get them a home, whether I end up showing them or have a teammate or a colleague that helps me show it. That's huge. So reaching out, so having a network of people that can help you run your business is huge. And, you know, one of the things I value the most, like, we're talking about earlier, is being present. So the things that I know I'm really good at, I do those and I hire the other things out.
mm,
So for instance, like, I have an assistant and a transaction coordinator, and they both help me make sure that our clients get the best possible service. Because at the end of the day, people need to get in those homes. They need, that's going to change their life. And I truly believe that. So for me, I have people that I hire to help me run those things. And also just showing up and being present and getting back with people. I've heard, I won't go into all the negative stories that I've heard, but at the end of the day, if you don't call people back, they don't feel loved. If you don't pick up the phone, if you don't reach out to them and say, hey, just checking in, how's life going? They're not going to feel loved, and they're not going to want to work with you. And so it's just bringing that love and knowing that when you show up with people, like in life in general, the value you're bringing. So that when someone wants to start working with you, that their life is going to be forever changed.
yeah.
And that may sound, some people say, well, Daniel, that sounds awful arrogant. But I know the value that I bring. So when I show up, I'm not worried about what are they going to think about me. What I'm doing is I'm going to help them achieve their goals. And so that's something I think is huge. It's like, hey, I'm here as a guide. What I've often told people is, I'll be the Yoda to your Luke Skywalker. Help you find a home, I will. But I think that's something that definitely sets me apart. It's being 100% focused on what they want and how do I help them achieve that. And yes, that's how I make a living. But at the end of the day, I don't care what house someone buys. My goal is that when you get in that home, that you can already see that your life is changing. So, and also I'll tell people, like, what do you do? Like, oh, I sell real estate, but I'm also a therapist. This is one of the biggest things. This is one of the biggest processes that people are going through, and people get really nervous around money. And so part of my job is not only saying, hey, I think this is a good house as we're walking through, or pointing out things that, because my background is building, because my background is remodeling, I can walk into a house now. I'm not a contractor, not a general contractor, anything
Yeah.
like that. But I've been around this stuff a long time. So I can walk into a house and be like, just so you know, this house is a piece of junk. And because you can't always tell that from pictures. So, I'm not here to make a sale. I think that's the difference. Some people are in their industry to make a sale.
Yeah.
They're going to buy a house at some point. But when they get that key and they move in, I want that to be the most pleasant experience, and they can start moving their life forward in the direction they want. That's one less thing they have to worry about. They're, okay, I've got the house. Now, what's the next thing that life has for me? And so, yeah, that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest purchases that people make, and one of the biggest decisions they make outside of getting married, or what kind of job they're going to do. So you need someone that can guide you through that, because it's so important to understand the process. And when you get nervous, not if, when you get nervous, I'm there as the guide to say, hey, I understand how you're feeling. A lot of people have felt this way, but here's what the next steps are. So you don't have to be worried, because I've got it taken care of. I've got you covered. Or as the kids say now as the kids say, I got you, So yeah, I think that's what sets me apart.
I got
Great question.
you.
Thank you.
I got
you.
No,
I got you covered.
So right now, just curious, and I went to the Instagram, your Instagram. I'm not gonna pull it up. But I didn't go to the Facebook. One thing I have noticed about you, and I'm not sure if it's a personal choice or you just don't, but I kind of feel like if I were to buy a house, I've seen it in so many, and I've seen it with cars too. When you buy a car, the first thing that the dealership or the real estate person says, hey, let's take a picture, and let's take a picture of you and me posting. And I know it's marketing. It's like to let your friends know I'm doing this. I'm not sure if you do it, but I haven't seen any of that stuff with you. I don't know. I'm not sure if maybe it's just the Instagram I'm looking at, but on Instagram I see more like your positive messages, your words of encouragement, and you just kind of dropping wisdom bombs here and there. Whoops, I used the word bomb. Wisdom nuggets here and there. I don't know. Do you have any on Facebook? I hadn't gotten that far.
There are some. I really, I try to be sensitive to what people want, because I know for me, it is, when you do that, that is marketing. That is for marketing. And it's also a celebration. Yeah. It's a celebration, but not everybody wants their picture taken. Not everybody wants to, like I like to keep to myself, like personally, I'll share stuff with people, but there's certain things I'm not going to share. And some people just don't want people to know that they bought a house,
Same.
And that's okay, because we're going to celebrate. I'm going to throw a party for them at their house, and we'll celebrate that way. Really, it comes down to, do people want that? And if they do, I am more than happy to do that. That's great for me. That's also great for them. People can, because then that gives people an opportunity to celebrate as well. Yeah. And I think celebrating the milestones in our lives and the things that we've accomplished are huge, so I'm kind of going off on a tangent on that, but when we've accomplished something, it's in society, it's like, okay, you accomplished something, so what? That's not how we should be with people. When someone accomplishes something that, I can't tell how many people I've worked with, and they're like, Daniel, I never thought I'd be able to do this. Like, I just never thought I'd be able to do this. And when you get to celebrate with people and say, look what you did, like look what you've accomplished. And that gives people the hope that, dang, if I can do this, I can do anything. And so I'm off a tangent on your question, but it really comes down to what they want. I'm going to celebrate with them, whether publicly or privately, either way. That you got to celebrate people. You got to celebrate people.
No, I totally get it, because like I've become a person now where all my social media now is more, I use it to pour into others, bless into others, but when it comes to my personal life, I don't publicize that anymore, just because I know where I want to go as a brand, or just as a well-known name, and just to protect my family and people, loved ones. Just because I seek the limelight doesn't mean that they necessarily want to be there. Maybe they do, but so everything I do on my social media so far, of course, hasn't been as much, but it's intentionally just for that. Whenever I'm in a relationship, no one really knows I'm in a relationship, because I never post about a relationship. Yeah. And then whenever I buy a house, no one's gonna know. Whenever I move to a new place, no one's really gonna know, except maybe the few close people. Until later, I'm like, hey, your place looks different. Oh yeah, I moved. But that's just that's me. I personally, I guess, because I just know that social media has been so saturated with everyone having to know everything about everyone all the time. And like, you know what? I like to keep mystery about my life. It makes me more attractive.
It makes you more present.
Exactly. And then
Makes you
I'll
more
share
present.
good stuff, but I also share important bad things. Because I'm also not here to
Absolutely.
like get you the guys to feel sorry for me. I mean, whenever my life is not happy and I feel, you know what, people need to see the real side of this, I will
Mm,
share that.
that's
But
important too.
yeah, most definitely. But let's go into that. Let's go into that
Yeah.
concept as we talked earlier, and as you know that as a speaker, I focus on three parts for my audience. First is to help them detach their identity from failure, and then to take ownership. Then that helps them to take ownership of their lives once again, and then we can
Mm,
help them develop the right mindset to become the rock star of their industry. So
absolutely.
one of the highlights that I know we've all have wins, and we love celebrating the wins, but we've also have had losses, and I just kind of want to know, when you have experienced loss or failure or rejection, whatever, what have you
Yeah.
found, or who have you found resources or people, or what has helped you move
Yeah.
forward from that?
I think that's a great question because, in life, I think Rocky Balboa said that in one of his movies, when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. Life's not sunshine and rainbows, but when you get knocked down, because you will, life is a beautiful thing. It can also be a really hard thing sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you have those hard things, number one, feel your feelings and know that how you're feeling is 100% okay. Don't get down on yourself because, excuse me, because like, oh, I feel sad or I feel angry that this happened. Feel those. Those are normal, and we have to do those things, whether it's a grieving process or whatever it is. You have to do that. You can't negate those. You have to feel how you're feeling, whether that's crying, yelling, however it feels like it needs to come out. You have to do that. Another thing is thinking, oh, this time right now really sucks, but we're gonna look into the future and look back on this as if what we're going through has already happened, and we're looking back on it, and it was just a memory. If we look back on, whenever you're in a hard spot, and you can, whether it's through meditation, I'm big on meditation, and visualizing, when you can look at the future and think, what I'm going through right now will just be a memory. It'll be a bad memory. It'll be a really bad memory, but it will just be a memory. And that is one thing that helps move you forward. And getting around people, it's so
Mm.
it's so easy to recluse and to go inward. And inward work is very important. But for me, it's getting around those people that love me, that say, hey, Daniel, I'm here for you, whether that's your parents, your friends, whoever it is, getting around those people that love you and know that you have your best interest. So when you have failures, look to those who've been in that position. And whether that's, and really being gracious to yourself. Because a lot
Mm.
of times when things fail, just because something fails doesn't mean it's your fault. Something may have fallen apart and you had nothing to do with it. It just happens. And what does Forrest Gump say? It happens. It just does, and that's okay. And to know that failure is a part of life, but no, you don't have to stay there. You can stay there if you want to. I don't recommend it,
Yeah.
but it's looking to the future. It's like, okay, and that may take a month, that may take 2 months, that may take someone a year to get past that stuff.
Yeah.
But coming back to, that's okay. It's okay to be where you're at. Love yourself. In those hard times, love yourself even more. Give yourself so much grace, knowing that it will be over, and at one point, it will just be a memory. And I think that's huge. So, knowing that it will be a memory. So I'll go back, knowing that whatever you're going through, at some point, whatever things you went through in the past, now they're just a memory. Knowing whatever you're going through will be a memory. Getting around people that love you, being gracious to yourself. Love yourself, pamper yourself, know that you are the rock star that you're talking about. I
Yeah.
love the show that you're doing because it's, hey, rock star, I'm telling you, there's a rock star inside of all of us. And sometimes the hardest things we go through are the things that build us up the most and that have the most impact on our life. So, yeah, I don't know if that's helpful or not, but That's kind of
My
my take on
friend,
that.
on this show, we call that dropping Rockstar Gold. It is some words of wisdom, some gold nuggets, stuff that people can take and run with because that's tangible. That's something.
Yes,
That's something that can be used, and that's what I want my audience to do. I want them to know that they're probably not gonna be the first ones to feel what they're feeling, and they
absolutely
definitely
not.
won't be the last ones to feel what they're feeling. But it's a good way to reach out, to learn from others,
Hmm.
read other people's stories, to be inspired to move out. But also, you gotta go through your own journey. You gotta know what it's like.
Yeah,
One
but if
guy
you can
says,
avoid it, do it.
"True,
You
true,
can
yeah."
avoid those things by reading the books or helping those things or getting that coaching. Do it. But that's not the reality of life. That's not, usually we're searching for something because something has happened.
Yeah. And I forgot the saying. I'm not sure if it's a biblical saying or just wisdom, where the saying is the fool learns by experience, but the wise learns from the fool's
Mm,
experience kind of
I love
situation.
that. That's beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
learn from other people's experiences, especially those of us who, although we don't look it, we have lived long lives, or we've lived life. All
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely, man.
But no, that was some good stuff, and I would love to talk more about this later on, but
Yeah,
time is going, time is going from us, and I got a few more questions that I just want to get to.
let's do it.
But so far, let me see. Let me go back to the questionnaire here. Um,
And always feel free to rein me in. I'm kind of like a wild stallion. You ask a question, I just go off on it. So you can be like, "Oh, buddy," you can do that too.
you had said something that triggered, not triggered, but it just kind of reminded me of I can't think of it other about like good experience and bad experiences. But man, if it comes back, I'll have to highlight it because it reminded me of something I heard. Just a great, valuable lesson. And although I have a song called "My Life's a Piano," and the most valuable lesson is kind of like the yin and the yang. You need both good and the bad because the good
100%.
experiences help you appreciate. The good experiences give you hope when you're going through the bad, but the bad help you appreciate and value the treasure that the good experiences are. And so that
Absolutely.
balance, it's that usage of both or experiencing both that create your story, creates a beautiful song. But there was another thought that
Love
came,
that.
and I should have scribbled some notes here so I could have gone back on that. But all right,
All
so
good.
Daniel, one of the other questions that I always like to ask, and this is like towards the end
Yeah.
of the show, or for now, who knows? We might go on another tangent and
Who
go
knows?
go whoever. But one of the things that before I started focusing on the three as a speaker, I believe that discipline is one of the best things that we can acquire, as
Mm,
especially if we're seeking for greatness or we're seeking for excellence. And my five, that's the five stands for the five disciplines that I'm working on, which is physical,
yeah.
spiritual, mental, social, and financial. Those five areas are what I'm constantly planning little discipline um, offerings, or I'm investing into every one of these areas simultaneously. I'm curious, in your everyday, are there any day-to-day practices or disciplines that have become canon in your life?
Yeah. I would definitely say, so you're talking about like a routine, some kind
Yeah.
of routine that helps you. Absolutely. When I wake up, I take my shower, take my vitamins, do my whole routine. And then really it's, checking my calendar, what I got that day. Like, the further and further along I've gotten business, everything's on a calendar, like every meeting. Cause I don't normally forget those things if I have a meeting, but at least I can look, boom, do that. Um, listen to some good music in the morning. I kind of just, in the morning, I kind of usually just kind of move pretty slow. I don't get in a hurry typically. Um, so that's super helpful. And running at your own pace, because life
Mm,
sometimes, and people want you to run at a faster pace, but you got to run what's comfortable for you, but also put yourself outside of the comfort zone too. So, yeah, so getting up, getting moving, I drink I don't know if you can see this, but this is a big old thing of water. I drink a big old thing of water, like within probably 10 minutes of waking up. Yeah. And that's huge. Is getting your body hydrated, getting a shower, or, whatever, but everybody's routine is different. But for me, oh, there's a bunch of deer over there. Sorry, it's really pretty. But yeah, so it's getting up, getting your body moving a little bit. Now, for me, that's not necessarily hitting the gym. I usually hit the gym in the afternoon or something like that. I'm not big on breakfast. I rarely eat breakfast. Usually my first
Same.
meal of the day is lunch. Um, yeah. And then just, diving into what I got going on that day and having a physical list. This is what I got to do today. Let's do that. Everybody's different, but that's how I like a physical list. These are the things I got to knock out today. And
Okay.
then usually going to lunch. Usually my first meeting with people is usually lunch. I rarely do any meetings before 11 o'clock, just because it gives me that time to wake up and be, for one, present with myself, which if you
Mm,
can't be present with yourself, you can't be present with anybody.
that's
So
right.
being present with yourself and how am I feeling this morning? Like what's going on? How's my mental state? Do I need to listen to some hype music to get me going for the day, or do I need to sit down and meditate and think about what's going on in life? I wouldn't say there's necessarily a routine for every single day other than the shower and the vitamins and stuff like that, but in the water. But every day you got to kind of listen to your body. Like what is my body saying today? It's easy to not listen to our body, but you got to. You got to listen to what your body's saying.
That's good. No,
Yeah,
that is definitely good. Most people don't listen to their bodies. They listen to other people's advice at the
yeah,
expense of their bodies, or they listen to their pleasure at the expense of their bodies. But no, yeah, that's a great routine, and I totally get the as we get more and more busy, calendar and scheduling has become very very important in my life
yes,
these days because I have a good memory, but there's so much happening that it's possible to slip and forget
absolutely,
a few things these days. But I set reminders and alarms to kind of remind me either the day before when something big's like, hey, remember tomorrow you got to do this, you got to pay
yep,
this, you got to submit this. Like, oh my gosh, because there have been a few missed opportunities simply because I forgot to put it on the calendar or I forgot to put a reminder,
absolutely,
and I've had to pay the price for that or just suffer the loss of a potential uh, income coming in for a missed opportunity. But no, I definitely, and I'm starting to appreciate the list making. Something about putting the main things first. Like this is today. You know, I want to do as much as I can today, but at the end of the day, what is the main thing I want to have done today? And if I can put those things
absolutely.
up there, like, all right, cool, check, check, check. Now, if I can do those things first thing in the day, cool. Then I got all this other time that I can do other stuff. I don't know
Yep.
about you. I know you said that you mornings are not the best, or
Nope. You
you're
won't get
more
me on the phone before 11 o'clock. You
you're more
probably
of the
just won't, to
night
be honest.
person, which I tell everyone jokingly, I'm actually both a early bird and a night owl, but I take a lot of naps in between.
Ah, cool.
However,
I like that. I like that.
I found though is I don't know, especially with this new job that I'm working on, um, I've been waking up earlier. Like my
Hmm.
go to is to wake up at 5 to get my workout routine, all this stuff.
Woo,
Now I'm getting up at 4:30,
woo.
and that's a whole different level because, but like tomorrow, what I had scheduled got canceled, so I technically don't have to wake up early, but I want to because I know that if I want to get that done and get my workout routine and my devotion routine and all my mental work done, then I have about 4 maybe 5 hours in the morning before even noon that I can work on some things
Yeah.
and and within that time span, I found out that especially once I've done everything and have my first cup of coffee at 6 in the morning, I can actually get a lot done in those 4 hours. To be like, I can do more in those 4 hours than it takes me all week long to do afternoon times or try to do in the afternoons.
Yeah.
Because in the afternoon, I just want to relax, watch some
Absolutely.
Netflix or some whatever, talk to my family, chill, go out to eat with dinner with friends. Like after that, like, oh, I got 30 minutes to do this project real quick. But if I can do it in the first thing in the morning and get it all done, I love it. I don't know why. Just I'm more active doing it before 1. If I can get all
Yeah.
that stuff done, at least computer work and mental work that and writing, if I can get all that done before 1, I work better. But that's me.
Yeah.
And
You got to go with what your body says, what your I forget what they call that. What when your rhythm, the rhythm of your body.
what sucks though, I don't go to bed till like 11, so my body feels it sometimes.
Yeah. You go a lot bed a lot harder than I do.
But I do take a nap in between, like an hour nap somewhere in there, maybe 2 sometimes. All
I
right,
love it.
so
Love
one
it.
more question, and I've kind of
Sure.
reworded it for you, for this interview. But the second question I like to ask is, if
Yeah.
someone is interested in following your footsteps in your industry, or maybe if you want to reach out to someone who's interested in buying a home. But what is a first step,
Yeah.
or what is a resource that you would recommend that someone could start to kind of wet their feet in real estate?
All right. So your first question was, how would someone get started in real estate? Correct.
Like you, yeah. Someone
Okay.
who wants to be a rock star in real estate like you. What would be a good first step for that?
Well, definitely, for one, you shadow someone. If you're kind of dabbling in, well, real estate might be fun. Give me a call. Shoot, you can come shadow me. I'll come show you. You can come with me when I show homes because, get a feel for it. It's kind of like you don't want to jump into something if you don't really like it. So, find someone that, because, in a city of 9,000 agents, we all know realtors. Most people know several realtors. So just reach out to them if you think that, if you feel like they're crushing it and you want to be something similar, reach out to them and say, hey, can I shadow you? Can I come work with you for a day? Or can I come be your assistant for a day? Like, what kind of value can you bring to them? And then see if you like it. And also, that's important, you don't want to get into something and be like, shoot, I don't actually like this. So learn a little about industry, ask those questions, ask that agent, hey, let me tell you got for coffee. Let me tell you got for lunch. Let me just pick your brain on these things. It all comes back to relationship and just asking. A lot of times people get so nervous about whether asking about industry or a job, or like, hey, I want to talk to that lady, talk to that girl, or that lady. I want to ask her out, whatever it is. You got to ask. You just have to ask. Because what I found a lot of times in life, people want to help. People actually do want to help. There's a way more helpers in the world than people who are just pieces of junk.
Yeah.
People want to help. People want to see you succeed. People want to see you succeed. So just ask. You can always ask. Shoot. I mean, you can look me up on the Dancing Realtor. That's my handle on Instagram. Shoot. Come hang out with me for a day. I'll show you the ropes. To me, that's a lot of fun. What was your next question?
Oh, no, well, it's just tied in with that one. Or if you didn't want to answer that one, you can like, well, if someone's trying to buy something, what would be the first step for that? But that's a whole lot of steps, actually.
Yeah, well, give me a call.
First step,
me,
call the Dancing Realtor.
Yeah, give me a call. Shoot me a message on Instagram. Give me a call. Maybe we can put a link on here for my birthday. Gosh. A link on here for my number or the Instagram handle. I love, as I hope my passion for real estate has come out in this, it's more than just a job to me. I love helping people achieve their goals in life. And for this is just real estate is just one way I'm able to do that. And I'm so grateful for my job every single day.
That is cool. Could you hear that just now? Okay, for some reason it was coming on my head earpiece, but my phone was off. I don't know. It was just weird. But anyway, no, that was a good question. Actually, yeah, I should have. I mean, your handle's right there. Because then the last question I usually ask all my guests is, if you want to be found, how can people find you? And you have that Dancing Realtor handle there.
The Dancing Realtor. There we go.
But let me see. Did you say there's another site or something, or?
The Dancing Realtor is the best way to find me.
On Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram. Yep, that's going to be a good way. I'm also on Facebook as well. I have a few fun videos on YouTube. I think I don't actually know that one. But yeah, there's a lot of fun videos on what the buying process looks like. Excuse me. And but if you search Daniel Swaw, there's my sweet tea and stories thing on there, kind of stories of my life, stories of real estate, stories of love loss, and all kinds of fun thing on there. But definitely, maybe we can drop my phone number or Instagram in there, and I'd be more than happy to, help you find a home, sell a home, or if you're looking to learn more about real estate, I'd be more than happy to give any information and any wisdom and knowledge that I have.
I'm gonna type it in real quick. Although you have an underscore, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
I think it's just the dance. Let's see here. You think I'd remember this stuff, but
did I spell it right?
Let's see. IG the Dancing Realtor. That's probably right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you don't have to capitalize the dancing, but
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, that's his Instagram handle, which is a great way to find him. But however, those of you who are following Hey Rockstar on the Instagram Hey Rockstar, I only follow back on that account. I only follow back people who have been guests on my show, so that my audience can find them quicker and easier. So I'm already following you on the Hey Rockstar Instagram, so people who know the show from that can always just find you easily through that means also.
All right.
Daniel Swaw, thank you so much for being here. I know you asked
me for having me.
What do I normally do to end the show? I just keep everyone on. I like to keep my guest on as we just go do the goodbyes, but it's nothing big. But just stick around. I'm about to say goodbye, and then we can chat a little bit once the broadcast ends.
All right, sounds good, brother.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
so
what's that?
So thank you so much for having me, man.
Well, actually, just don't go anywhere, my man. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 48. It is an interview with a rock star featuring Daniel Swaw. I said it right this time.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got sway from, bro. I really don't know where I got it from.
I've been called anything and everything.
And every time I say it in my head, I think of Billy Madison when he's in the bathtub, like, "What are you looking at, Schwan?" I'm like, Daniel Swaw. Daniel Schwab. I know there's no Schwa, it's just Swaw. But either way, that always comes to my mind. Or no, stop looking at me, Swan, something like that. I forgot. It's an old movie. I'm aging myself here.
That's hilarious.
I don't care.
I love it.
But yes, this was episode 48, interview with a rock star featuring Daniel Swaw. For those of you who are checking us out through podcasts, thank you. And we have more stuff coming up for you guys. We got only 2 more episodes after this to end the season, the first season of Hey Rockstar. I'm excited for what we got for you coming up next season. But that other than that, just any final words, any final thoughts you might want to share before I do the official we're closed, Mr. Daniel?
Oh, yeah. I mean, be kind to yourself. You know, love you. Be gracious to yourself. Know that you can do the things you say you want to do. Yeah. If you got anything from here, feel what you're feeling, love yourself, and if you need to buy homes, let me know, or sell homes. I'm more than help. I'm here.
He specializes in private real estate, right? Or like
residential.
Residential, that's the word. Residential.
But I can help you with commercial too. I have business partners that we do that stuff as well.
All right. I was just going back to what originally was written in the questionnaire, but cool, residential. But other than that, and I'm gonna have to talk to you about a few things, but other than that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. I hope that what you heard today brought value that you can take and apply to your disciplines to help you detach your identity from failure, take ownership of your life, and develop that right mindset to become that rock star of your life, of your industry, of whatever you dream to do. Because like he just said, anything is possible for those of you who believe. Change that mindset. We'll get you there. But all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, this was Daniel Swaw. I'm Josafat Emiliano. Miguel's back there on the guitar, just chilling, and we just want to say thank you. Thank you for letting us into your homes. Thank you for letting us into your cars. But most importantly, thank you for letting us into your hearts. So until next time, much love and many blessings.